Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Elizabeth Toumbos. She is a full wind shamanic energy medicine practitioner, compassion key certified master practitioner, compassion key circle leader, and priestess of the womb. I love that. Yeah, there's a lot more to you. So the full bio will be at the end. But the first question that I love asking all my guests from the get go is how would you introduce yourself? Who is Elizabeth at this very moment? Who are you?
Hi, Valeria. Now that's a very interesting question. Um, I'm just really into exploring life and finding ways of living on this earth that's sort of in balance and working um, with the earth and with everyone around. So it's just about trying to find balance in life.
How interesting that you say that we are trying to find balance. And it feels to me like nature is doing the same, right? Earth is trying to find its balance too. And I truly feel that it has to come from us in a way. If we want to see that balance outside, we need to become balanced ourselves using the concept of balance, but also can be the idea of peace, right? Become peaceful. So there's something about nature mimicking, reflecting human nature and our need to recognize our true nature, isn't it, Elizabeth? Do you feel
Yes, for
that
sure.
way? Yeah.
Absolutely. It's really, we live in a world of polarities. So we've got the positive and negative. And in
Right.
order to experience, we need both of those. So a lot of people might look at it as good or bad, but through shamanism, it's just really information, and it hasn't got any
Mhm.
judgment behind it, good or bad. Because really, to
Right.
experience things, we need to experience the good and the bad. If we just
Mm.
everything was perfect, we would really have nothing to live for. We'd be just all standing
Mhm.
around going, well, there's nothing to do.
Mm.
So, in a
Ah,
way, it's sort of information that we can use to steer us in the right direction in our life. And
right.
even if something bad happens, um, that can be a great challenge to get over. And when we do, then it's like we found another piece of the puzzle of who we really are,
Mm.
and we can put it in our toolbox and then move on. And then if it comes up again, we can just look at our toolbox and go, I've got that one, and move on.
Mm. Yes, right. I love the this idea that we can come to this place of not seeing, judging anything as good or bad, but just seeing as a movement in life itself. Just the experience, it requires everything. I agree, all the sides in order to be. That's really wise if we can see it that way. And it takes practice, right, Elizabeth? It feels to me to be able to carry this vision of reality.
Yes, it does take a lot of practice, because of course we spend many years of our lives, especially our younger lives, accumulating all these, wounds and a picture of who we think we should be in the world, and it's usually
Right.
who we've been told we should be rather than our true essence and what's inside of us and what we came here to do. So all that lack of balance is sort of the unraveling of the programming and the traumas, and then once we learn to dance, do that dance with life, then we can turn it into our gifts, and it can, we can actually enjoy the dance rather than sort of struggle through that. So balance is very important, but if we always try and stay in the middle, that can be very hard. So we tend to swing
Yeah.
as human
Mm,
beings
mm,
because we're here in 3D
yes.
reality, and of course, if we were perfect, we
Yeah.
wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So
No.
just do that dance between polarities, and the ultimate thing would be to walk that middle road, but we always go off it a
Yeah.
little bit, and then we go, oh, hang on, I'm just here and I know why I'm
Yeah.
here, and I'm just going to
Mm,
sort of slowly move back to the center again without any
mm,
judgment,
yeah.
and just receive it all as information rather than punishment or
Mm,
triggers. Just if we can try
yeah.
and be more objective and don't think that we've been punished all the time. It's just we are given things in our lives so that we can work through them.
Oh, wow. is that connected to karma? The challenge that we go through, are they directly connected to cause and effect, or there's something else?
Yes, it's definitely affected to cause and effect and karma. A lot of it is in the shamanic world, we deal with a lot of different aspects of karma and
Mm,
lessons we come in here to learn. A lot of it is comes through our family lineage, and
mm,
then a lot of it also comes through our past lives. So our
mm,
family, through our bloodlines, we get passed. It gets passed down to us, and
yeah,
it's very hard to accept because you think, well, I didn't do this. It's not my fault.
yeah,
It's not my
yeah,
problem. But in
yeah,
the end, it's
yeah,
just like our lineage is saying to us, we couldn't do it, so we're passing to you to try and free us. So it's like a chain. And when we do
right,
eventually heal ourselves, then we actually heal our past and future generations. So we can give a gift to our lineage. And then when you get back to karma through um, past lives, it's like things that we've experienced in past lives. We come here to maybe relive them on the opposite side. Like, instead of
yeah,
being the victim, we might become the perpetrator. And then
yeah,
we have to try and equalize that karma and make
mm,
right. So, and that's how we
right,
find the middle road, always trying to balance that negative and positive polarities of ourselves to come back to the middle.
right. Wow. So what comes to mind, a question that it's a very simple question, but it might be an important one too. What does it feel like? What does it look like to be in balance? Do we share that there are common qualities that we share, all of us humans, when we are there in balance in the middle space that you speak of? Or
Yes, it's a very common quality, and it's a place we don't spend most of our time where, but we should be spending most of our time there. And it's in
mm,
our heart center, because our
yeah,
heart center is where it's the central axis of
yeah,
of our body. Because we've got the 7 chakras which run down the
yeah,
system, and
yeah,
the heart is the center. So it's the fourth chakra, and then on the other side
yeah,
we've got three. And the three master the lower world, and the other three master the upper world. So we're always doing this sort of dance between the two worlds.
mm,
And if we can stay in
yeah,
our heart and live through
yeah.
our heart, then that's where we find the balance.
Wow. So does it feel like love, Elizabeth? The concept of love and kindness, is that something that um, because that would be easy to in a way to understand as a concept. Does it feel like love? Is that, you mentioned the heart? Is that something that you I could say, like, is that something that you would say too? It feels like love, or
I think
or
primarily
something else.
it is love. It is
Mm,
love, but it
yeah.
has to be love for the self first. Because if
Mm,
we don't love ourselves,
right.
we can try and love others, but we can't truly love them without judgment, with
Yeah.
compassion,
Yeah. Mm,
because we're always judging ourselves first, aren't we? And so then
yeah.
the world becomes our mirror, and then we reflect all our
Mm,
judgments onto everyone else. So doing that inner
yeah.
work and healing and trying to live in our heart,
Yeah.
then we can have compassion and love for everybody, and firstly love for
Mm,
ourselves.
right. God, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Love for self. Yes. Thank you for saying that. Gosh. Because a lot of times it comes to me as when I think about the presence of the divine, it's like it's a presence, but then it's not just something that is a presence that it is observing and witnessing um, this world and this body mind, but that's funny. There's a something arises like affection too. It's almost affection for that which is giving birth to all that it is, all that exists. So it's almost like as a reverence to existence itself, to making existing things possible, including our experience here now. So, do you feel that way sometimes? I know it feels like there's duality there, although my way. my training, kind of my spiritual understandings and the way I train the mind body is actually to see everything as one, everything as one reality, or having one source. So there's no two really happening. In a way, seeing everything as divine, as sacred. So not making any distinctions. That's like an interesting practice for the mind, because the mind is always trying to separate everything in order to navigate this reality. So it has been a lot of fun. Um, do you want to make a comment about this? Do you want to
Yes, well,
expand on any of that?
when it comes to love, there's only really two true feelings or emotions, and that is love and fear. Everything else is a
Yeah,
byproduct of love and fear.
yeah,
So
mm,
we're all born through love, and
yeah,
so I actually remember being my coming into this world,
yeah,
and
mm,
I know I came from a place of pure, absolute pure love, and then being born, because I remembered first coming in, and I felt like I was thrown into this horrible world. There was no
yes.
love. It was
Oh yeah,
cold. It was kind of my first wounding, and that was
yeah,
I sort of battled it for many, 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 many years. So
yeah,
it's love and fear, and
mm,
we tend to live in fear a lot,
yeah,
and that takes us out of our heart space and our love. But
mm,
everything is
mm,
born of divine love, and the universe is
mm,
the force, the most powerful force in the universe is love.
mm,
And
yeah,
yes, we're definitely all one. We're all one,
yeah,
and now like this is being, it's been spoken about for thousands and thousands of years by the wise ones
yeah,
and many cultures, and
yeah,
now it's actually being proven in by quantum physics and things like that. So it's like what we knew all along. They're finally going, oh, it's real. So it is real, and it is love,
mm,
and it's just
mm.
expressions of love or fear.
Mm, yes, it really, really resonates with me at every level. Yeah, this idea of fear and love when it comes to the human experience. Yes. Um, so, gosh, I have a lot of questions for you here about what do you do, and even the trauma, right? Like traumatic events, how that affects us, and kind of blocks our direct kind of connection with the divine. It's very interesting to see. Has been my experience. So, but before we get into that, talk to me about how you came to be you, to do the work that you're doing today. I have an idea because I read your story, but I would love for you to share that here. How how did you come, what brought you to the path of shamanism and healing and doing this beautiful work?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I'll try and make it as short as
Yes.
possible. Um, as a child, I was sort of, I think a lot of people who were sort of listening to this program today would feel the same. We sort of felt like we didn't really
Yeah.
belong, felt out of place. Because I think we all
Right.
came here to do a job and to bring light to this world at this time,
Right.
especially now because it's changing so fast.
Yeah.
So I had a very difficult childhood, a lot of abuse and like violence
Yeah.
and I had some
Yeah.
sexual abuse and then it just kept going for many many years
Yeah.
and that between that I had some most beautiful experiences. I had a time when I was just sitting quietly and then like this little bubble in my heart just
Yeah.
sort of expanded and expanded and expanded and got bigger and bigger and then when it was outside of myself it just popped. And then I found myself in this place of oneness and with the planet
Uh,
and I felt like,
uh,
I was the water, I was the trees, I was the earth, and I
mm,
had that
mm,
opportunity to feel what it was like to be Gaia and be the great mother and feel
mm,
the beautiful love and compassion she has for everyone and that was something that sat with me forever.
yeah.
And I didn't really know what to do with it at that stage. So I didn't tell anyone about my experience. And I've
Yeah.
only really started talking about it in the last few years. And I've just turned 60, so that's a long time. This happened like 40 years ago or
Wow.
something. So,
Wow.
and then I had another time where I just shot out the top of my head, and I found myself in this grid of what seems to be like fiber optics. And now looking back, I know it was the Akashic records. So
Yeah.
I had access to every piece of information. And then when I came back, it was like I knew it was there, but I couldn't grasp it. So I know that there is that the Akashic is real, and we can access it. And then I was very curious and sort of dabbled in a few bits and pieces, but really I sort of denied that part of myself because I was still very wounded for a long, long time. And
Right.
then I came to a bit of a crisis point in about 2017 or 18 where I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown, and I couldn't stop shaking. My whole body
Yeah.
was shaking. It was rumbling from the inside, and my doctor sent me to a neurologist, and he said there's nothing wrong with me. And then I sort of realised it was an awakening. It was my Kundalini awakening, so happened quite late for me. And
Right.
then I I started getting this word coming into my head all the time: shaman, shaman, shaman. So I decided,
Ah,
okay, I'll have to go and see a shaman. So I found a shaman here in Melbourne who's a very wonderful man, Sharif Torfilis, and saw him and had a few sessions, and it really changed my life. But when I watched him, it was sort of like I was just looking at him so curious. I'm going, hang on, what is he doing? And it felt familiar, and it felt really I was so curious. And then
yeah.
he had this workshop, and I went to it and loved it. And then I was just had this drive inside of me. It was like it was saying, you have to do the course, you have to do the course. And then I spent 6 months training with the Four Winds with Alberto Valaldo.
Yeah.
Um, and and then all of a sudden I became a shaman, and then I'm thinking, hang on a second,
Mm.
I don't even know who I am. And now I'm sort of,
Mm.
I didn't call myself a shaman for so long,
Mm.
and I wouldn't tell
Yeah.
anyone because I don't know, it's
Mm.
sort of like really strange to all of a sudden be in this, be in this new sort of um, way of
Yeah.
living. And it's taken a few years to sort of ease into it. I took it slowly. I didn't think it was important to rush in. Um,
Yeah.
and I've just been like slowly, working with clients and just finding my way. And it's really sort of started to accelerate over the last couple of years, and I feel more comfortable with it. I'm very comfortable with it. And now, if anyone wants to know my story, I'll just keep talking about it.
Yes. Wow. It's amazing how this movement from what we think we are to what we are, right? It- There's interesting how we tend to identify a lot with the body, with the content of the mind, our experiences, and then we truly believe that that's what we are until something like this happens, revelation. And then now, I love the way you said that. I don't know who I am. I don't know what this is. It's almost like being reborn and not knowing what to call that. What's here now. So that's been the experience of a lot of people that I have met, and probably my own experience too. Maybe that's why I'm very interested in the kind of broadcasting, putting this information out there, because I think it's really a very, in a way, very natural movement from what we think we are to what we really are. So I think the main, see, the interesting thing there, it's think. So what we are, it doesn't require thinking. It's thinking's part of it, but it's not. Um, it doesn't require thinking to know oneself. That's one of the things that I realized too, because a lot of times we put all this, the idea of the divine into concepts, right, Elizabeth? And then we just now becomes too intellectual, then another thinking thing, and then we really never get to the real non-thing, the real that's not a thing, which it's what we are, spiritual beings. So that's beautiful to hear your story. I read it, and it's interesting how similar it is to so many people that I have met in my own story of having mental, it seems like a mental breakdown, and then in the end was just like another, almost like another stage of awakening, one after another. It was just incredible. So do you feel like at some point, does it take time, practice to stabilize ourselves in this new, renewed self? Or this is something that can happen, it happens naturally for some people?
I think it's quite rare that it happens naturally for some people and overnight. It can happen, especially
Right,
with like
right.
near death experiences in very extreme situations.
Yeah,
But I really think that it takes a lot of work and commitment to yourself.
yeah.
And but it's not hard work, it's just really learning to get out of your own way
Mm,
and get out
yeah,
of your head and into your body and your
yeah,
heart.
right.
Because
Yeah,
our head is like it's been so trained to be very linear and tries to put everything in a box, wants to
yeah,
understand everything,
right,
and then we live through
right.
our traumas, which have all
Mm,
these triggers in our brain. And the second we come up against a
yeah,
similar situation, that bell goes off and sends alarms through our whole body, and then the fear comes in. So it's about learning to um, really become the observer of
mm,
yourself. And when
mm.
you start
Mm,
feeling something, you just stop.
yeah, yeah,
And and it's so important to access that feeling and go into the body and ask it,
yeah.
why are you here? What do you want? What are you trying to tell me?
Mm,
Because we just store these traumas away and pretend they're not there and get on with our life. And then something
right,
comes up
right,
and it just pops up again. So we really need to go through the layers of trauma. And
right.
and they're layers, they really are layers. And then it can get more difficult as you get to the bottom layers, the original woundings that
Yeah.
that are really the big ones. So it does take time and it takes commitment, but it doesn't have to be hard. It's just giving yourself an opportunity and a break, letting yourself
Yeah.
be. If you need to
Mm,
cry,
mm,
cry. If you need to express yourself, do.
mm.
Um, you need to go through
Yeah,
the feelings to heal. You
yeah.
can't just push them aside. So it's so important to get
Mm,
into those body, those
mm,
feelings. Um, you can get to the big, the big ones quite quickly through a few techniques, but you really
yeah.
have to have 2 or 3 sessions just to make sure you're clear and you're not going to, completely break down. So it's important
Yeah.
to just take it slowly and give yourself patience. How many years has it taken you to wake up? And so it's, you have to give yourself an opportunity to make it a journey, not an immediate destination.
Yes. Gosh, that's such an important message too, right? That the journey, not the destination, right?
Mm.
That's a big one. It seems like it's fun for the mind to think that there is a destination, like some
Mhm.
sort of hierarchy, some place to get to, and it feels to me like the mind loves that. I'd be part of the human experience too, right? Of being here. I heard recently someone said it's not that we humans are trying to become more like God or become divine, is that the divine is trying to become more human. So that kind of resonated with me in this, even the sense of feelings, like being able to being open to them, to everything that within the experience called life. So there's something there about the divine struggling to be human in a sense.
Yes. I think what happens is it's like when you're in oneness, you can't
Yeah.
experience the plurality, the positive and negative and the good and bad.
Right.
So we split off so that we can have these experiences because, you know, the universe needs to grow and it grows through doing these splitting offs. So, and that's what we're doing here. We come in out of oneness to come into polarity.
Yeah.
And we did come here to do this dance of polarity. If we just
Mm.
spend,
Yeah.
and this is what I find with, which is it can be a trap for a lot of people, is is they discover that, they have gifts and they have connection with the upper world, which is lovely, but it becomes
Yeah.
a form of escapism. But
Mm,
when they
yeah.
drop back down to earth, all the
Yeah.
problems are still there, and it's,
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
like an act of running
Mm,
away from your problems. So,
yeah.
but once you balance both sides of yourself, it's so easy to flow in and out. And sometimes you have to be very, very 3D, like you have to wash the
Yeah.
dishes and
Right.
and feed
Yes.
everyone and just survive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so we have to be
Hmm.
both, not just one or
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah. You see, that's beautiful. Embracing life as a whole, right, Elizabeth? Not just parts of life. And that's not uh perhaps not everyone is at that level yet. And some people are there already. I feel like people like you and a lot of amazing people that I meet, they are already there. Like they are okay experiencing something that's unacceptable. They are just they seem to be at peace. I guess not in agreement, but at peace. That's what I see in them. Is that something that resonates with you? This idea, even though we don't have to agree with everything, but being at peace, that's something that we can do.
Yes, this is when you actually really get to find out how much work you've done, is when
Mm.
something big comes up.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
like, it's just, you have to become the observer again and just think, oh, what's happening?
Right.
And also admit that in a way you co-created this. And
Right.
it doesn't mean that it's validated or it's right,
Right.
but
Mm.
we have to accept the responsibility we play in this
Right.
3D
Mm.
um, place that
Mm.
we're in.
Yes.
So if we
Yeah.
accept and we can be more conscious, then we can start choosing different lives, choosing a different path, dreaming a
Right.
new life.
Mm.
Because I
Yeah.
think we are so sort of trained to always think about what's going wrong rather than what could go good.
Mm.
And
Mm.
then
Yeah.
it's like the shamans
Yeah.
always say, dream your world into being. So if we're constantly
Mm.
thinking about,
Mm.
oh, this always happens to me and I always have bad luck, well, those statements go out into the collective and that's all that keeps coming back to you, because
Yeah.
we are actually all master manifestors, all of us. We just keep
Yeah.
asking for the wrong thing.
Mm.
And in
Yeah.
order to
Yeah.
ask for the right things, we
Huh.
have to ask for them and then get out of our own way, because we can't
Right.
make it happen. We have to ask for it to be happening, and then we just let go. And it's almost like relinquishing control, because we have no
Right.
control, really. When you think about
Right.
it, we have no
Right.
control
Mm.
when it comes down to on this earth. Anything could happen anytime, and we all
Right.
like to think we have
Right.
control, but we don't. And just being in
Right.
that space
Wow.
where we accept that we don't have
Huh.
control and that there's something greater than ourselves. And once you make friends with that, it's actually more comforting,
Yeah.
because we can start to ask for what we really want, and
Right.
then let go and ask for, healing, ask
Mm.
for wisdom, ask for abundance.
Yeah.
So it's really a different way of approaching life, rather than the way we've been
Right.
taught to struggle and always focus on the
Mm.
negative. And it is very hard, but it just takes
Right.
practice. Just keep going and
Right.
try. And of course, we always, fall back on, I do it too.
Mm.
I have a grumble and then I pick myself up and I move on. But you just can't stay
Right.
there 24/7. That's the thing.
Mm. Yeah. And having guidance really helps too, Elizabeth. So thank you for being a guide. Yeah, that really, we do need support and guidance throughout the journey. It's easy to do it alone. I really don't believe in doing anything alone. I think together is so much more fun too, to kind of do it together. Um, talk to me about. I want to talk about. your services specifically, what you do in shamanic with shamanic healing, but I will start with the name of your practice. So is that Ayani? No, in Ayani? Yeah, the pronunciation. So what is the meaning of that specific? I know it's also the name of your website, isn't it? The title of your website? Yeah. Yeah. In shamanichealing.com.au. So talk to me about, yeah, I apologize for the pronunciation, but yes.
That's okay. So in Aini in the Quechua, which is the language of the high end, the people of the high Andes and the shamans of the high Andes, it means sacred reciprocity or
Mm,
balance. So the thing is, we're
yeah,
always trying to, they are always trying to be in Aini, in balance with nature and everything around you.
yeah,
So um, if we're in balance, like we're talking about the polarities, if we're in balance, then
yeah,
everything's good. Okay, so inani means imbalance, and that's a very important part of how I live my life as well, because
yeah,
I'm an earth keeper, or shamans are earth keepers, and we're stewards of this earth.
yeah,
And I live on a farm, and I farm, I
mm,
grow vegetables, I get my hands dirty,
yeah,
and I love it. And
yeah.
that's a very important part of
Oh,
my life is being part of working with our
yeah,
Pachamama, which is
yeah,
the earth mothers, and there's many around the
yeah,
world, and then Gaia is the whole planet. So having a deep connection with our mother, our planet, is very important in
yeah,
finding balance, because she gives us the sacred feminine energy, and then our father, son,
mm,
gives us the masculine energy. So we need both.
yeah,
So we really need to make friends with Mother Nature again, and nature, and learn to live in
yes.
harmony. And then
Ah,
and then she can help heal us too. We can ask her for healing. And if you do that, she will help you, because she loves all of her children, and she will
right.
definitely help you. We just need to ask. And again, let go
Mm,
and allow something greater than yourself to come in to help you and guide you. So that's what Ani is all about. And
wow.
now I'll call that my website, because I thought it was quite important.
Yeah, wow. I love that, Elizabeth. Yeah, this deep connection to nature and getting to understand, right, what the effects of that, the impact of that. It feels to me like we are, well, we are connected to everything. We're not separate from anything. We are nature itself, right? Humans, but we have forgotten that. Thinking got in the way, and we believe to be something else. Some of us. So I would love to hear a little bit more about your services connected to the soul. I know there's a soul retrieval. It's part of it. One of the techniques that you use. I'm very interested in this aspect of the being. So, what is the soul? Is uh, in relation to the spirit? Because in shamanism, there's a lot of reference to the spirit, to the great spirit. So, what's the relationship between the soul and the great spirit?
Yeah, so the Great Spirit is the eternal, all-knowing um, being, and then the
Yeah,
soul is like a splinter of that, which comes to,
yeah,
um, which is an aspect of that greater being that comes out and to incarnate and to explore, and then to
yeah,
go into worlds of polarity and send information back, so that our great Creator can understand itself as well, because that's what we're
right.
all here for, so the Creator can understand what the Creator
Mm,
is, because when you're in oneness, you can't know who you are. So we're all part of that dance.
yeah,
So with the
yeah,
soul, when we come in here, our soul is there, and we have our higher self, which is connected to the soul. And it's it's like, if we're perfectly balanced, we should have access to our higher self and to our soul
mm,
connection,
yeah,
and live in harmony. But what
yeah,
happens when we come into this 3D world? We start to experience negative situations and trauma,
yeah, yeah,
and we store that trauma in our bodies, And when we store it
Yeah.
in our bodies, it creates dysfunction in our electrical system, our biofield, because we have
Mm,
like a
mm,
biofield, like a torus, because we have a positive and negative pole as well. We're just like the planet. We have got a
right.
um,
Mm,
field,
mm,
and then
mm.
these traumas get stored in our biofield. And then if they're there long enough and they stagnate enough, then it turns into illnesses. So like
Yeah.
health problems, cancers, all sorts of things, and mental illnesses as well. So everything starts at the energetic level. So what we do in shamanism is we interfere at the energetic level rather than going through the physical and then going up to the energetic. So it's sort of bypassing and going to the source of the trauma. And then when we clear
Wow.
the trauma, then the body can reset. So usually when a client comes to me, I'll start off with tracking them and finding out where the blocks are after a chat and finding out, what's been happening in their lives. And then we can usually start with extractions, extracting the dense
Ah,
energy
yeah.
and working with the
Yeah.
chakra system because all of these are related to the chakra system, different places of the body. And then
Ah,
removing those, and then we can do an illumination, which is we pull out the heavy energy and then we put light back into those chakras so we can balance the whole system. So that's usually where we start.
right.
And then we'll get on to sometimes extractions are they might be like dense energies from traumas, or they might actually be um, like other beings, like
Ah,
yeah,
yeah.
because other beings can
Wow.
attach to us like
Wow.
entities when we have got a lot of dark energy in us, and so they can attach and hang around and feed off of our negative energy because they like that. So we'll
Wow. Yeah.
extract those beings and then do the balancing and the illumination, and then it means that being won't come back. And then
Right.
with soul retrieval, it's
Yeah.
important to clear away a lot of this before you bring a soul part back. So what happens when we
Ah,
experience trauma is a part of our soul will splinter off and it will get buried deep, deep in the subconscious. So we haven't got access to
right.
it anymore. So then um, shamans will travel down into the lower world
Yeah.
and find that lost soul part and bring it back. But we never
Right.
bring back the wounded version. We always bring back the healed version, and we leave the
Right.
wounded version back down in the lower world
Right.
to be taken care of. So we bring back the healed version, reinstall it in the body,
Yeah.
and then it creates a huge shift in people to get part of their soul back.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and then later on, when they feel more complete, then we can go into the upper world and bring the ultimate destiny down to them, so they can really step into who they truly, came here to be.
Wow. And that's what you, in the end, would that be the our destiny that leads to living our destiny? Or because you do have another part of you, the technique that's called destiny retrieval. So
Mm.
this is something that's I never thought about destiny, something that you can retrieve. So it's destiny is something that we can also lose. I had no idea about this. Is that
Yeah, well, that's
is that
part of
what it
the
is? And it's like, yeah.
yeah. So after you've done all the clearings and got the soul parts back, you can do the destiny retrieval. So that
Mm,
is stored in the upper world. So as a shaman,
yeah.
um, I learned to track, and you go up into the upper world, and with helpers up there, they will help you track
Yeah.
the most ultimate destiny for you. Because of course we've got lots of timelines, and we just track the right
Yeah.
timeline that's going to take you on the destiny which you came here to walk, and then
Right.
install that into the biofield, and
Yeah.
then the person can tap into that and then use it as guidance. Yeah, and I think
Wow.
when you are in your destiny, you do have that sense of calm, and you know who you
Mm,
are, in a sense that you know
yeah.
what you came here to do. I don't think we will ever really know who we are until we go back on the other side. but we know
Mm,
where we should be going rather than just always thinking, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm here to do, because
right,
there's something
right.
in there that's missing, and once we can get that back, then
Ah,
it's not missing anymore,
mm,
and then we can
mm,
really feel whole. And
mm,
usually when that happens, you don't even have to try. It's just sort of everything just appears in front of you anyway, because
yeah.
because you are there, and your timeline shifts, and all of a
Mm,
sudden
mm,
the opportunities just present themselves, and it becomes effortless, really.
yeah. Gosh, I love that.
Mhm.
That's interesting that you say that because I have had reoccurring dreams of being in a place that I could recognize. I knew I had been there before, but I didn't know how to get there. It was like an interesting thing where I see the path, and it's always very dark. And then but I know how to get there. I have like that certainty, but I can never get there. I keep like trying one street after another, and then it's almost like I get lost, and I kind of I forget. It's almost like a forgetting type of thing how to get there. And this dream was it was just kept coming back and almost every night for a long time. Recently, about maybe a year ago, and then it disappeared, and then now it started again. But I have somebody else with me. Before I was alone. Now I have somebody with me, and we are still finding the way there, but we are not quite there yet. It's interesting. Do you also work with dreams? The interpretation of dreams? Do they appear to tell us something about our destiny and our soul's journey, or a lot of times they are just something coming from trauma again? That's what I'm wondering.
I think with dreams are a lot of information. Sometimes they're just your brain organizing themselves at night, but when you have profound
Yeah,
dreams, and especially ones that reoccur all the time, they are
yeah,
trying to tell you something and lead you somewhere. And
yeah.
usually, um, like, we can find out, maybe possibly not what the dream has meant, but try
Mm,
and balance the system so that it can have more better access to that dream, and what all the information that the dream is giving, and that it can be so
right,
much easier to sort of find that destination. Um,
right.
because dreams are very cryptic; they're very hard to work out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
rather than trying to work them out with your head, it's easier to just go into the feelings that you
Mm,
have when you're in the dream and
yeah,
when you come out of the dream, and
yeah,
access those feelings, and then ask them what they're telling you. And then if you find yourself in a situation where you're feeling that and you're going, oh, this feels right. This feels like my
yeah,
dream. And so,
yeah.
because there's no way the rational brain can work out a
Mm,
dream, we really have to
right.
use the emotional body, the intelligent body, and the heart.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for answering that question.
Mm.
Yes, yeah. That I remember somebody said that to me once, maybe years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah, go by the feelings. I remember that. Yeah, that suggestion. Yes. I have oh gosh, we're almost at the end, but I do have another question about food. So the soul doesn't get affected, right, Elizabeth, by trauma. What gets affected is the body and mind. Is that correct?
Yes. The soul will always stay like a perfect soul, because it's in a
Yeah.
completely different density, a very high density, and it
Right.
can't come down into 3D. Um, it's too refined. So it's just the body. But what happens when we die, if we don't release these traumas, is that we upload them into our higher self, and then it goes back
Yeah.
into for information for the soul to store, and then
Yeah.
it will come through in your next life, and it will also
Um,
come
yeah.
through in your lineage. So,
Mm.
yeah, so
Oh,
the lineage you're in, that you
yeah.
left, it will get
Yeah.
passed on to anything that
Right.
is related to that lineage will get passed on through the lineage, the next person, and
Interesting.
the
Yeah.
information that you stored, that it will other information that haven't got to do with your lineage will get stored and taken into other lives, not necessarily all in the one life, into different lives
Right.
to explore again and see if they can be resolved. So it's not like it's a clean slate. It's information that does get stored in DNA and
Right.
digitally in the upper world and in a more sort of more digital. That's the only way I can express it really, because the quantum field
Right.
um, is more like it. So yeah, nothing gets
Right.
lost. It just gets transferred.
Mm. Wow.
Mm.
So that's good to know that. I mean, that's good news in a sense of spiritual knowledge, right? With spiritual understandings that we acquire in this lifetime, it passes on, it accumulates. We don't, nothing's lost, as you said.
Mm.
That's wonderful news. I love to hear that.
Mm.
When it comes to food, Elizabeth, is that something that affects? Is that important to be aware of what we eat? Is that important to be a vegetarian or a vegan when it comes to these spiritual practices in the sense of cleaning the body and the mind, along with the trauma, of course, doing that cleansing to arrive at the soul's destiny? Or I would love to hear that from you because it's my own curiosity, actually, too.
Yes. Well, food is extremely important because we are like two bodies. We are our energetic body and our physical body. And our physical body is like, if you could just imagine a computer, your laptop
Yeah.
or desktop computer is the hardware, and the
Okay.
software that we load on it and use is our software. Okay, and the software in this context is our energetic body, and the hardware is the computer. So if you
Right.
trash that, give it the
Mm.
wrong electricity, um,
Yeah.
smash the buttons, it's not going to work very
Yeah.
well, is it? It's not going to
True.
play those applications and things, the software, very well. So it's the same with the
Right.
body. We must
Right.
respect it and come back into balance again. So diet is very
Mm.
important.
Mm. Mm.
Personally, the jury's out. I really haven't sort of decided whether or not everyone should be vegan or meat's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not judgmental about that, and I haven't had any
Yeah.
really clear guidance from any of my guides or lineage about that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of ancient cultures still eat meat and things like that, and they had
Yeah.
terrific connection with the upper world. So, but we are evolving as a humanity and as the light
Yeah.
beings that we are. So that changes, but I cannot answer that. But it's
Yeah.
important to eat fresh, clean food, organic, because the amount of
Yeah.
pesticides and chemicals in food this day is very disruptive to the system and poisonous. And I
Right.
would say the number one thing you can do is repair your gut, because the gut
Mm.
is the first place, because the gut is
Yeah.
responsible for, of course, absorbing all the nutrients that the body needs, and it also
Right.
makes the majority of the hormones we need for our body to function, like especially our brain. And we
Right.
need good fats for our brain. We need a lot of nutrition for us to operate at a very optimal level. So if we really want
Yeah.
to access higher realms and access ourselves and
Mm.
our higher selves and our soul,
Yeah.
we really need to have a finely tuned body. So that's all I really have to say about that. Is just as clean as possible, whether it's
Yeah.
meat or just vegan, as clean as
Mm.
possible,
Yeah.
and water,
That.
clean water.
Yeah.
Mm,
Right. In water, right? Clean water. Yeah,
mm,
that makes sense too. Yes, that's how I go by fresh foods, clean, organic, everything, of course.
mm,
And not much, though. I try not to eat a lot, like twice a day only, not three times or more. I think and I do a lot of fasting too, which is good, 17, 18 hours fast. But yeah, I try not to become too dogmatic, like rules when it comes to these things, because then it feels almost like a religion, right? Not too many rules, then we lose even what's the point anyway for doing all these things. Some people just do it because they're afraid, right? Or they wanted to look spiritual, and then it's almost as if being spiritual has this what do you call a blueprint in a human experience, which I don't really think it does, because everything is spiritual. I don't. There's nothing that's not spiritual in the first place. So thank you for clarifying that, because I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of times I become a little um, kind of curious about these things, like food, especially, and this some people, they really believe that we should not eat the animals because we I think, I guess I brought this up because you mentioned extractions. That's one of the techniques, and I have heard that the energetic vibrations, energetic let's say karma of the animal is attached to the person. If you eat chicken or fish or any animal, they they all have karmic kind of energetic resonance within them, and then we take hold of that by eating them. Is that something that you have heard before?
Well, I think the modern food chain has done a lot of damage to um,
Yeah,
the animal world and the plant kingdom. So when the ancients hunted, they always did ceremony, and they asked
yeah,
the mother for a sacrifice of an animal, a soul, and she always gave them
yeah,
permission because
yeah. Mm,
everything eats everything on this planet, and I live on a farm, and I
yes,
see that nothing is spared. Like,
yeah,
it's quite brutal,
yeah,
really, in nature. And a
yes,
lot of people who live
mm,
in the cities, they not aware of that or don't want to know about it. But
yeah,
they always asked permission, always honoured the animal, killed it as
mm,
humanely as possible,
mm,
and then
mm,
honoured every part of that animal. Okay,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
still happens in ancient cultures.
yeah,
So if you're going to eat meat, I would suggest finding it where it comes from, making
yeah,
sure that they've had a good life and they've been honoured. Because
yeah,
buying, food that comes from like animals that come from huge like feedlots and things like that, I just I really feel for them too, and I think there is a karmic
yeah,
to that because we are abusing what Mother Nature has given us. So it's all about balance and
yes,
respect, whether it's meat or vegetables. It's all about
yeah,
respect for everything.
mm,
Even when I go
mm.
out to pick vegetables, I always thank the plant and ask for permission
Yeah,
and tell them that I'm so blessed to be given this gift, food.
yeah,
And if
yeah.
we're in that place of honouring and respect and balance, I don't think there should be any karma connected to that. So it's about being
Yes.
thoughtful and aware of what you're doing.
I love your answer. Yeah, it's very profound and very true to me. It resonates with me. Yes, being respectful, honoring, going back to balance. It goes back to the cycle of life, right? Being respectful to the cycle of life. And that's true. In nature, it happens naturally. So yeah, I go a lot by that principle of being natural, like flowing. That's what nature does, and we are like that too. We are not separate from nature. So there's no need to be ashamed from having these emotions, certain emotions, or eating certain foods, as long as we honor everything. So that's a beautiful message for all of us to be reminded of. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for your presence. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. So before we say goodbye, I do want to mention your website, EIN, shamanichealing.com. The AU will be clickable, so we don't have to memorize the spelling. And then your services, shamanic healing, you offer online sessions, compassion key online as well, and you offer packages as well. Do you also offer host live events? Do you meet people in person as well, Elizabeth?
Yes, yes, I do. I usually like to do one or two online sessions before people come to see
Yeah,
me in person.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm also starting some group healing calls, so um, which will be nice. Um, so online, so people can access that, and
yeah,
because there's a lot of going on in the world at the moment, so I'm going
Oh
to
yeah.
start some online healing calls that people can, it's just by
Mhm.
donation. So if all you've got
Yeah.
is $1, it's $1. It doesn't really matter because I want everyone to have access to something because we all need support at the
Yeah.
moment. And
Right.
so if anyone's interested in that, they can just join my mailing list from my website.
Yeah.
And also I'm designing a program for later on in the year, which is based in shamanic principles, like a little toolkit for people to have to sort of, as they go through life, to have some tools to cope and
Oh yeah.
to be able to sort of handle a few things themselves without always having to worry about, spending money on, lots of different healers and different stuff. So I think
Right.
everyone needs a toolkit
Right.
now.
Right. So true. Thank you so much for your contribution. Yeah. To spiritual evolution, human evolution, to well being, peace, and also helping the earth. Thank you so much for being you again. And before we say goodbye, is there anything that you left unsaid, Elizabeth, for this conversation?
I suppose all I can really say is that we're all um, we're all important. Everyone on this earth, doesn't matter who you are, we're all
Mhm.
important, and we play a part
Yeah.
in the evolution of this planet and the evolution of the collective. So if you
Yeah.
think you're alone and your life has no meaning, it does. Everything you put into the collective, every thought, is changing and shaping this planet. So you're as important
Right.
as anyone else.
Yeah.
And just by connecting with our planet through your heart, sitting on, just go out and sit in nature and talk to our beautiful mother and ask her to hold you. You won't feel alone. And know that everyone's making a difference with what they put in. And if you put in love and positivity, the planet will
Mm.
transform very quickly.
Yes. Wow. What a beautiful message. Thank you so much. Yeah. For
Thank
your
you.
contribution to this beautiful vision, right, that we all have in our hearts to see a reality that's very loving and united. So that's really wonderful. And thank you for this message too of that we are not alone. That's something that it's sad to kind of acknowledge that some people do feel that way. So, yeah, thank you for saying that. Thank you so much again for meeting me today, and we'll talk again. We'll be in touch again. Bye for
It's a
now,
pleasure.
Elizabeth.